Ladies and gentlemen, this is Billy Alexander coming to you live once again with another special Inside the Locker Room. This week, my guest is none other than the PWA Regional Champion, the young Thriller Derek Moss. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, there's a lot of things being said. There's a lot of things going on out there and everything else. So I've got to get to it right away. The Grand Wrestling Spectacle is coming up in a few short weeks. Everybody already knows what's going on, but I've got to backtrack just a little bit here. The Toga Steve Memorial Tournament. You were in there with your partner, the PWA Heavyweight Champion, Zero Hype Guy Smith. And as we all saw, he turned his back on you, causing you to not have your name etched on that plaque for a second time as well. What exactly does that do? How does that weigh on the shoulders of the young Thriller?
Well, you see, Billy, back at Gold Rush, I issued an open challenge, gave an opportunity of a lifetime, and Guy Smith answered my challenge not as a challenger, but as a mockery, as to say, hey, what do you think you're trying to do? I'm the champ. Nobody cares. But instead, he comes out and extends a hand for a spot together as a tag team for the 3rd annual Toga Memorial Tournament. Now, I admit it. I was skeptical. I didn't shake his hand. He pulled my hand in, and Commissioner Powers finalized it, and I always had that linger. But I thought, Guy Smith is a real champion. Boy, he hates it. Hates it when I say that. Hates it when I call myself a real champion, but not him, because nobody outshines Guy Smith. But Guy Smith, I thought, hey, you know what? We have a legitimate chance. I won the second Toga Memorial Tournament. Why not do it 2 years in a row? I thought, you know, he'll show me. He'll show everyone that his ego is set aside. Boy, was I mistaken. Because it was the Guy Smith show once again. Once again, Guy Smith's ego took apart everything that was supposed to be that night. That night was memorable. But for me, it was memorable for all the wrong reasons. Because Guy Smith had to go and show once again why it's not PWA, it's Guy Smith. Whatever Derek Moss does, Guy Smith does one better. That crowd was hot, emotional. They were there for a purpose. And to see two champions tagging together, two singles champions, they would have gotten to witness history. We all know how that ended. With me getting my head planted into the mat, not once, but twice. It's been a long couple days, a long few days, a long week to just sit and reflect. But in my thoughts, I never once came up with a real reason except for the Guy Smith show. It was all an act. He was all sunshine and rainbows, because he knew in his head what he was going to do. He knew he would pull one over on the PWA fans by saying, hey, I'm going to team up with your champion, and then I'm just going to leave him to waste. It's hard. It's hard to wrap your brain around it. But go ahead.
You spoke a few moments ago about wanting to cement history. So let's talk about history. At the Grand Wrestling Spectacle on May 21st, the big show for PWA, the most important match in PWA history, a chance to make history. You're stepping in the ring, putting your title on the line against Zero Hype Guy Smith and the PWA Heavyweight Championship. the most important match in your career, in the history of PWA, what exactly does that mean to you, Derek Moss?
Billy, we sat here before last Grand Wrestling Spectacle, and I told you that the ladder match against Tom Arson for this PWA Regional Championship was the biggest match of my career. And here we are 1 year later. This means everything. It means everything because at the state fair, I had my very first heavyweight championship match. And I came up short. I was this close and just blew it. I can't do that again. I can't go home with myself saying, hey, I'm going to talk all this big game, and then I'm just going to go out there and get beat. Like, how would you feel if you talked all and the fans rallied behind you only to say, I'm just going to blow the big one? This not only means that I get to defend this again, but it's the biggest match because I get a chance, a second chance at the PWA Heavyweight Championship. And for once, 2 championships, 1 man. It doesn't get much sweeter than that.
History.
History. I'm ready.
Well, speaking of being ready, Guy Smith was on the program last week. Guy Smith invited you to show up and put your name on that dotted line. Join him face to face to write your names in that history book. Do you have anything that you would like to, say to him on that?
Guy, you're not going to throw me off. You're not going to make me back away just because you want to have another face-to-face altercation. I know what happened the last time that I stood in the same breath as you. Things won't happen the same. I'll be here. And I hope that Guy Smith is ready for May 21st, the Grand Wrestling Spectacle, the granddaddy of them all, the biggest match in PWA history. Because I am. And you could take that to the bank. So I accept your challenge to come out here and sign a contract because I've never been ready for another match in my entire life. 6 long years I've been in the waiting to finally have my hands at beating Guy Smith. 6 long years since he took me under his wing and said, hey, I'm going to show you how to do this. And 6 years later, I get to prove to Guy Smith that I can beat him. And what better place than the Grand Wrestling Spectacle?
Ladies and gentlemen, the young thriller Derek Moss is set and he's ready for the Grand Wrestling Spectacle on May 21st.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck, champ.